for me, the biggest thing in creativity is like a surrender. There is like a surrender of not knowing. Like there's this beautiful thing, like just to let go and kind of allow things to happen. But there comes a time where there is this beautiful congruence and alignment when you are working in your practice and developing a character where it kind of meshes together. So it becomes that you're not thinking. I guess the best description is like you become a vessel. Everything about Netta was constructed and created with other artists, and so that it impacted so many people. Like after the MIF, like our world premiere, I had some beautiful women come up and just be like, oh, this was my mother. This is our story, is like my mother was a single mother. And I think that really touched a lot of people to see like a single mother and that experience to be put on screen.
Before we get into this episode, I just want to thank you for being here. I started this podcast to spark conversations that inspire, creatively, personally, and everything in between. So if you'd like to support that mission, the best way is to hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're watching or listening to this. That'll help other creative minds discover us and also ensures that you won't miss any of the incredible guests that we've got coming up. Because when this passion is shared, it grows exponentially. So thank you, and now let's get stuck into it. I didn't even realize I emailed you the day that you got back. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. No, it was the day I got back.
Adrian's like, have you heard back from Sarah yet? I was like, no, I haven't. Then it's like, she just got back yesterday or something like that. It's like, oh, I just emailed it yesterday.
Yeah.
So I might give it a minute.
I was like, oh, no. I need to relax back into the groove. But I'm slowly getting there. But it's just, the life of a creative is always kind of fluctuating and through waves. And I've just had this beautiful time overseas, and then you come back to reality and it's like, okay.
I know. It sinks.
And I kind of don't have any expectations as well. Like I do kind of go with the flow. So it's...
But it's been flowing like the whole time, when you kind of left right after things went and then it just kept on going and going and going, and then you came back and it's like everything was happening while you were away.
I know. I had a huge year, like with Westgate coming out, and I was filming some other things and just writing. It kind of just is like a domino effect of like everything's happening. Everyone who's talked to me, they're like, oh, you've had a really big year. I'm like, yeah, no, I have. And I don't know if I've let it land or like it's really sinking in. But yeah, I went away and we got into South by Southwest Sydney, and I was like, oh, Adrian, I didn't know you were going to go into it, but I can't really change my plans because I had things in place.
A honeymoon.
A honeymoon. This is true. But it was great to like liaison with everyone and see. And it gave opportunity for like Tavis, who's been on this podcast, to get to do the Q&A, because, I'm always there at the Q&A. So there was opportunity for like the production designer and Tavis as the DOP to do the Q&A, which it's great.
It's demanding. I mean, there's a lot of travel's a part of it, but then it's just the showing up. Like you gotta be on, right? So the whole like being there and jet lag or whatever.
You have to be...
You got to be...
Not performing, but there is an element of performance to it.
Yeah.
Like you step into a certain persona to be able to do interviews. And yeah, it's funny because you were at one of the Q&As for Myth, and I think your experience of me was like, oh, she's really quite articulate, like obviously after playing Netta in Westgate.
Just that juxtaposition.
Yeah. It's a different thing. And I think I had a lot of people be like, oh, wow, she's really not that character. Like she actually very, very, worlds apart, which is a compliment in itself. But yeah, it does take a lot of energy, and that's something you learn as like an artist and a creative, whether you're a writer, director, actor. It is something you have to learn.
I think probably even more so if you're acting, because when you're in your, I guess, like a more natural state, things seem to click and align a bit more. But when you're having to perform, you have to be, I think so anyway, you tell me if this is right, like you've got to be more mindful of all the little tiny parts. So you're more cognizant of everything. So I guess just your level of awareness is elevated. Even the baseline of it is elevated to not try to relax and be in your natural state, but now to be someone else?
I think you still. I disagree because
Okay.
I think you still have
You're
to be.
the actual actor.
As an actor, you still have to be in a relaxed state to be able to play a character. Like, if I'm really tense or
I don't
like
mean tense. I guess
really,
it's like more on top of it, right? Like there's things when you're just being you, Sarah, you will just carry on without having to be mindful of like, this is how I pick up a spoon. Where if you're playing a character, it's like, how would they, what are the characteristics to,
I think
the
though there
manners?
becomes a time. I understand what you're saying, but there comes a time where it kind of there is this beautiful congruence and alignment when you are working in your practice and developing a character where it kind of meshes together. So it becomes that you're not thinking when you're on set or when you're in a play. Like it's just so free-flowing because you've done all the prep work. And there is prep work involved in like when you are like signed onto a film or they're creating a character. You do all this work to ensure that when you get on set, it is effortless. That you're not thinking, oh, how does this person pick up this or what does she think? Like it's just you are thinking that.
Yeah.
Like I guess the best description is like you become a vessel.
An embodiment of
the embodiment of the character, and there's ease with that because you know them so well, and there is always a part of oneself in a character. I don't think that it's still my Sarah's human body that is actually playing the role, so I can't really escape that there is still an element, but there is just this beautiful.
It has to be, right? Like the way that, you could have this one character, Netta, and it's your portrayal of Netta. Even like however Adrian would give you as much detail as he can about this is how Netta is. Not even just on face value, but given the background, all the characteristics that he can come up with to develop this character in his vision. But then what you bring to it is going to be different to what another actor could bring to it, right? I suppose it would just be their interpretation of all the nuances of this person.
Yeah, like no one would be able to play Netta how I will play Netta because, I bring all this lived experience. I bring my own story as a sense of it. And like that's where preparation plays such a pivotal role, that you use elements from your life or create them if you're more based in imagination in your practice. There is like this fluidity that happens, and that's all in preparation. And no one can play Netta how I was going to play Netta because of my lived experiences and because of my choices, how I will physically embody the character. I have a different body to someone, like a different actor, and what I choose to do with it. Yeah, it all comes down to choices and research. I think research plays a huge part when you are acting.
When you are in that moment, or not even in that moment, but I guess in that period where you guys are filming, and I was having a chat with a friend of mine just over the weekend who he works 9 to 5, and we were having a conversation about, and he has no creative bone in his body. And self-proclaimed as well, so I'm not just having a dig. And he is really good at drawing boundaries and having clear boundaries between work and home life. So he will go in and he'll do his job, and as soon as it's tools down entirely. And I was describing to him how, like, for me, I'm intentionally never like that. I like to be constantly not in work mode, but just even in absorption. All right, like just trying to find influence and inspiration from everything, especially the conversations, but like anything. And I wonder, when you are in the filming period, when you're on camera, you have this, you've taken on this persona, and it was a highly intense movie. It was a lot going on. Intensity is probably I guess that is the right word for it, right? Like it was just a whole bunch of things just not working out, which just kind of heightened the hostility is not the word, but definitely aggravation within Netta. How good are you at then, when it's cut, just dropping the baggage and not taking it home with you?
Yeah, for me, that's like an important part of the process, like having boundaries. So, even though like for you say like creativity, I think I'm always curious, but when I am filming and I'm in such a character that has, like you said, it's an intensity, there's an emotional, she's kind of an emotional tornado as a description. I think Adrian gave me that description once, but she has so much complexity in her, and I think a lot of characters do have that, but boundaries are important. Process. So if we were shooting a scene where things were really heightened, it was really important for me to then, leave the space and have my own practices, whether it's, just go into another room. Like I've worked out things that work for me, but this only happens over time. And like, as I get older, like you learn this, and when you're on the boards and when you're actually on set and you learn from other actors and you just work out what works for you. But like I have a ritual at night. I love baths. There's something about water that's really cleansing. And, it's just being really careful and with self-care and self-management, because, sometimes people want to come up to you and ask you things, and it's just, putting in that boundary, whether it's even, not that I some characters I'll use music for, like as in put in some headphones, particularly with Netta, was something I did do.
Yeah.
So that's even an action that's, signals to other cast and crew, she would like her own time. And it's not being rude or anything. It's just I need space to kind of come down. I need to be alone. But other people have other practices where they might like laugh and be really jovial with the rest of the cast and crew.
Just switch it up. But they're also going to be like, the method acting where they just want to embody that character and just hold on to it and to not escape that.
I don't know if that is, there's a whole debate. I don't know if we're going to go into method acting right now, but it can be interpreted, I don't want to say in the wrong sense, but I guess they want to stay in that energy, the energetic essence of the character. But they can do that. Like every character has quiet moments as well. So I don't think they need to stay. Like if I was Netta, I'm not going to stay in this energy. Like on set, I did stay, like Netta was a bit more direct and if you haven't seen the film, she's quite direct, no bullshit. She speaks her mind. She's non-apologetic. So, this kind of, there can be a little bit of residual leakage when I'm in the moment and we've got like 6, 7, 8 scenes to film in one day and you do setups with lighting. Like things take time. Like that's the smoke and mirrors of filmmaking. There's a lot of waiting time. So that energy could and does stay, like for me, in my body. So if someone asks me a question, I think Adrian once asked me on set, what makes a relationship work? I don't know if it was Adrian or Tavis, but they're like, what's the key to making a relationship last? And I think I just turned to him and I was like, communication. And then I just turned back. But, it wasn't me being rude or like there's that misinterpretation that, if an actor is in the character, they're, self-indulgent or they're, like it's an excuse for bad behavior. In this sense, or in my process, it wasn't. It's just you have this residual, okay, I'm in the energy of Netta. This is how she holds herself and this is how I'm talking. It's the same rhythm. It's the same cadence. And that kind of has a leakage. Like my partner at home, I think I was driving the car, and I'm not in Netta, but like he's like, oh, wow. Like I'll be like, someone's swerved in front or done something, not to my liking as an aggressive car driver. Like, Netta was quite an aggressive car driver. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, wow, that's Netta. So there is this interesting kind, I keep doing this because there's this interesting kind of wave and it's kind of like you have these two kind of pulses. If you have that image of you're a creative and you're visual, like that image, like they start kind of, they can intertwine and have, I love the essence of like, there's some residualness that happens. Like sometimes when because I'm an Italian Australian, I can sometimes bring in like this really Italian kind of way of saying something. I'm like, and my partner will be like, okay, that was the wog in you. Like I can so see that part of your personality kind of shine out when you say that word or that situation happens. So when you are playing a character, and especially for those that aren't actors, that or in my experience can happen.
Do you find that when you say there's there's residual effects of Netta still kind of popping up day to day. How much would that influence the next role, or even, just all other sort of personifications, right? Because I suppose that part of your prep would be to really just try to break down the character and then to interpret it through this particular lens. But your lens is now probably slightly shifted.
I wouldn't say it's shifted. I would be very conscious and aware of what part Netta is. And don't forget, like, Netta resides inside me. So I just put like a magnifying glass on those elements of my personality to shine more through Netta. And I feel like I have, and maybe everyone, and people might disagree, but we have all these characters inside of us. I think we spoke once about this.
Like, it really got me thinking about this.
We all have personas that we take on. Like right now in this interview like this is kind of like an interview. We're chatting, but we have like different personas. Like I know you're a father, so you have that persona when you are in that mode. If you've got a child, or husband, I'm a wife. These are all like personas. You could say masks, but I think masks, it's more like a commedia. It's like a very Greek theatre kind of approach. But like they are things that we step into who, like maybe persona, like roles. We step into these roles and we inhabit these roles in everyday life. So there is a performative element, especially in today's society, that we kind of all inhabit. Like think of social media. That is a very prescriptive and constructed image of oneself.
Yeah,
and
curated.
It's curated, but it's a part of their persona. It's a part of who they are, but they're magnifying that specific element of their persona. Whereas there's some people in their personal life get a completely other side of them, and that's another kind of role or persona that they kind of step into. So we all have all these characters inside of us, and that's what's beautiful. Like I studied as an art therapist back in the day, and a great therapeutic practice is called theta, and it's kind of play, and you become characters. Like this like a theatre play kind of thing, when you can become all these characters of oneself, or I don't know if it's theatre or it's within Gestalt, like you can place people, but you work out like that these personalities can exist within yourself. Like you're not just one person.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that when we tell ourselves and we slap on these particular labels, like, no, I'm not this, I'm that, and that in itself is limiting your propensity to move in all these different directions.
Yeah,
right?
It's a limitation.
It's self-fulfilling.
Yeah, and I feel like as a creative, what I love is that things are limitless. And obviously I chose to be an actor, and I also write and direct, but there is this beautiful curiosity and imagination to just, I could be anyone. Yeah. Obviously there are limits, and that's important, like to have restraint in performance as well. Like we don't want to just have our id floating around and everyone's being their id. But I think that is the beauty of creativity and being an artist. And for myself, I had this like epiphany only this year, because I'd always believed I had to be one thing, only one form of creative. Like it had to be an actor. And like I was a writer and a director, but and so I realized like I have to, for me to feel fulfilled in life, like I do need to mix within all those mediums. Like it's like an artist, and I have a background in painting, clay work, sculpture, drawing. Like you have all the different mediums that you can explore. You don't need to limit yourself like, oh, I'm known as Sarah the actor, or Wayne the visual artist, and I'm in this box. Like that kind of destroys, like,
it makes it, I think that we have a desire to pigeonhole, to make things easier for us to understand as well. And one of my pet peeves is when you're meeting someone for the first time, like at a barbecue or a party or something, and they the first thing they ask you is like, what do you do? Like, so, well, I don't know. I kind of just do stuff. yeah, different things. I create things, I chat with people, I paint, I draw, I do this and that.
There's no
and the
linear
other.
answer, but that's
No.
what they expect. They want that, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, I have it, oh, you're an actor. What have I seen you in? What have you done? And I love, sometimes I'm like, nothing. I've done nothing you would have seen.
Yeah. Or I was like, what do? I don't do anything, actually. I kind of just float.
Yeah, well, because like it's them projecting like how to measure success from
In
what
one
you're
way,
doing.
yeah.
You know,
Or just trying to make sense of who you are. And I guess it could be measuring their success.
measuring success, or just like trying to put you within a system, and we won't go into it like a patriarchal system of how we operate in society, but like you need to fit into a mold.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for them to be able to go, okay, you're A, B, C, and D. That makes sense. So you're that kind of person. So
Yeah,
it is
you're
a
that kind of person.
projection. And
Yeah.
that's why acting's so interesting, because when people go to a theatre piece or a film, they are projecting whatever they have about that certain character. So Netta, for example, people have had different reactions to her. Some people have been very frustrated because, you know, she's she's her own worst enemy. Like, you know, she has pride. She's just always in her own way. Things would have gone a lot easier if she just asked for help or admitted she needed help, but she wants to be independent. She wants to do it on her own. She wants to break the barriers of being like, you know, she's just rebelling against being what society expects from an Italian woman. Like, she's not married, she's a single mother. Like, her employment, she hasn't got like one job that's successful.
Yeah.
She's struggling. And where I'm going with this is, so people had different responses to her. Some people just didn't like her. Like, how dare a woman say no or be like opinionated, and that says more about them than
I was just going to say that.
than about Netta, the character that Adrian wrote on the page. That's fascinating. So even when you get, some people might say like a bad review, or someone says they didn't like the character, I don't care if they like the character. Has it impacted them? Has it made them think? Obviously has, because they've had such a huge reaction to the character. And again, it's something they should think about.
That's a good
because
point.
it's a reflection
Yeah.
of whatever prejudices or opinions they have about a certain demographic of a person, whether it's a woman, whether it's a socioeconomic status, because she's from Footscray, like, you know, and expectations.
It's a good point, because she wasn't there to be liked.
No.
Right, like there was the way that, like, to give an idea, it was a snapshot, a day in the life of.
Yeah.
It was a very hectic day. There was not many things that were working out in Netta's favour, but it was partly her own undoing, but also just circumstantial. So there were times, actually, so when you say it says more about them, there were times in that where I saw a lot of parallels between this particular instance and situations that I've been in with my kid. And there were times when I'm like, oh my God, Adrian's holding up a mirror to me. Like, it's something that I've got to observe. Like, it gave me an opportunity to observe those sort of behaviors in myself. She was definitely an extreme example of that. I say extreme, but to some people it's like, yeah, I get it. Totally. I behave like that. There were scenes where it like caused me to take mental notes. Like, okay, so in this situation, there was one scene in particular where she just lost it, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, I felt that. It was visceral. It was like, there are times when just as, I don't even want to say as a parent, just as anybody, when you're just like, I just want to lose my shit, and you don't, but then you get to see what it's like to lose your shit, and it felt so cathartic just to witness that. And I'm like, okay, that's enough for me, just to see that someone else has done it.
You don't have to enact
I don't have to.
it,
It's
no.
like, because then you kind of see on the peripheries like what happens when someone does that. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's a tough one to take back.
And she's at like her wit's end. Like, it's, everyone is coming at her. Like we said, it's a day in the life. Everything is going wrong. She's just trying to survive. She is a survivor. She's like an everyday woman of the 90s, just trying to ensure that.
And we've all been there.
Yeah, like everyone's been there. Everyone has their struggles. So I think it made like quite a lot of people uncomfortable. And it is uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable film. It's not an easy film to watch. But I love that. Like, in cinema, I'm a big cinema buff. I love that kind of feeling and when all the
Yep.
elements come together. We had wonderful production design. Tavis as the cinematographer was stunning. You know, from the costume, like everything about Netta was constructed and created with other artists, and so that it impacted so many people. Like after the MIF, like our world premiere, I had some beautiful women come up and just be like, oh, you know, this was my mother. This is our story, is like my mother was a single mother. And I think that really touched a lot of people to see like a single mother and that experience to be put on screen.
And
So they could go, oh, I know, that's me. Because sometimes that's not obviously represented.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it also gave me the opportunity just to look back and think about, you know, me being 40-something now and forgetting that once upon a time my parents were young, you know, and that they would have had to deal with some situations like that as well. So, you know, it was an opportunity for me to think, oh, man, like you expect your parents just to be able to, you know, you hold them to such, I do anyway, to such a high standard, but you forget that there's human and they just have bad days and tough moments. And as a kid, they'll be stored as core memories. But for them, it was just like a shitty day. But, you know, when you say that the movie is not an easy watch, it's not comfortable. But I think that back to what you were saying, like it's, you know, it was just holding a mirror up to you is more reflection on you. It's not comfortable because like we've been in those situations. So it's very relatable, especially when things start to go wrong and then they start to go wrong because poor decisions are being made and everything starts to compound. I don't want to give away too much because I love the movie. I really, really enjoyed it. It was great to have the opportunity to speak with Adrian before production had started. I think it was maybe just a handful of weeks before production. Yeah, so, and I knew that was coming about. That's kind of how we connected, that he was in the process of writing and doing pre-production for the movie. So it was really great to see how all that unfolded. I actually wanted to jump on behind the scenes and just while you guys were filming around Footscray, just couldn't make the time, which I regret. And then had Tavis on the day or a couple of days after post had just completed
Cool.
as well. And then after I got to see it, I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting much, but it exceeded that. I thought it was great. Like it was just a nice, well-packaged movie, well played. The cinematography was excellent. I know like Tavis had his challenges with trying to make sure that it kept within the era that it was in and not have too many modern day artifacts kind of make its way in. So the whole thing has just been well put together, seems to be very well received. And, you know, you guys are just now on the promo tour. So it's for me as a creative, just to see something that had started off as an idea into full fruition and just presented at the world. Like I love seeing that. I think it's wonderful.
Me too. Yeah. And like to give context, this is a micro budget independent, like Melbourne-based independent film. And what I love about Adrian and the team he was able to create was that everyone was so invested in it. And like he's created a little community and yeah, like I said, everyone was invested. So it just kind of, there's so much heart behind it.
Yeah.
And he was never not going to make the film, whether he got funding or not. And sometimes, you know, that's what I love about like being an artist is that what I think is one of the most important things to take action. You have to do.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what some people who, like you said, your friend, he said he has no creative bone in his body, which I would object. I think, you know, everyone has like the ability for creativity. It might be more in his thinking patterns or what not. Because like mathematics has creativity in the discoveries of equations and stuff. And in science, there is creativity in the way you think. We'll shelve that for another time.
It's fascinating how...
It's a fascinating subject.
How not creative he actually is. Like, I find that... So, just on a side note, he has aphantasia. Are you familiar with aphantasia?
No, what's that?
The inability to visualize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I think he is a specimen in and of itself
Okay,
of his inability to create things.
We won't put him under a microscope right now. But interesting. That's something I would like to research now. But like you, I absorb so much information that somehow makes it into my scripts or sorry, I just banged that microphone. That all goes into my scripts and things. But where were we going before? I think we were talking about creativity. Yeah, it's just taking action.
Taking action, yeah.
Like, and I think people, I know I've spoken to people like, oh, how do you do it? Like, I don't know if it's envy or they're just like, oh, wow, like you're living what they consider is a dream. But perhaps they've let their dream go because it didn't fit into the way society or their, the plan of how life should look like with getting married, having a house, having a job, having job security. Because let's face it, in creativity, sometimes there is ebbs and flows and like finance. But it's exciting to, learn how to juggle it all. And it kind of, when you do it, you feel quite satisfied and fulfilled. But they look at me like, oh, how do you do it? But like, I can't be anything else. Like, this is how I actually operate as a human being. Like, I guess that's not my drive, but that's who I am. So I feel like they're all who I am. That's what makes Sarah who she is. Like her writing, her acting, her the ability to direct, to visualize, to be curious. Like I have this huge curiosity in like investigating human beings, human behavior, and that's what drives me. That's what fascinates me about everyday life.
Did you do a lot of people watching?
Oh yeah, of course. Like I've done so much study and like I've also studied like improv in LA and like and any form of like acting class or instruction, like, people watching is huge. Like it's fascinating to watch a human being. How does someone, like when they're thinking, what do they do? One of the best things, like when I watch men, sometimes they shake, like they'll like start banging their leg and you're like, okay, so there's this like energy that they're kind of, what are they doing? Kind of like restraint. They have so much restraint or like...
you think it's restraint? Okay.
Or they are unable to expel it. I'm not 100% sure. But like people have these physical behaviors or mannerisms, and you kind of get to unpack that and explore that. And I think like for me, non-verbal communication and gestures and mannerisms are just something, it's one of my like obsessions about like how people eat. Like I love watching that because it tells you so much about the person, and like those are things I was always very conscious about. Like I'm always conscious about with my characters or because everyone eats very differently. Some people, don't know. There's all these things, or you could be like ravenous and hungry and like just scarf food down, and that says something about a character. So there's all these beautiful details that exist in one individual, and when you watch someone, you get insight into that.
So before we were talking about how like you're stripping away labels, so that gives you the freedom just to do and be whoever you are, whoever you want to be as well. Do you think that it kind of also works the other way around? Because if you can observe common mannerisms across different subsets of people, then are you then able to find where there are similarities to then, because if you see something that's more common, well, just a very easy one, it's like in men what you were saying about just having those tics, those
the shaking, or
if that is something that is more common in particular men, are you able then make observations in tics of this particular subset and in this particular subset, all the way down to you can almost then completely understand you are this person and and just work out their personality just from...
I guess you could read the human, like... you can read body language and human behavior. There's like
without even realizing it.
But there are like, I think there are jobs literally out there that people do that, because you can find people how they lie or their tics. But yes, without judgment as well. I think that's an important thing.
It's just an observation.
Go, okay, this person, this observation. It's kind of like you're doing an investigation and going, oh, yes, you do this. Because I think in non-verbal communication, someone can be and for me, I always found this really hard, and it's probably on my like spectrum of neurodiversity, but like people can say something and I'll be reading you and but you're showing me a whole different thing with all your body language. And for me, it was so like it can sometimes be so incongruent. I've had it with my husband before. I've been like, what are you really thinking? Or like if he's not even saying anything and
the body language speaks more truth than what's actually being said, right?
And that's why, like, as an actor, I've done so much physical theatre and like exploring the body and movement and all of those works, because like you can communicate things with your body language. Like the most easiest one people would know is like biting your nails, or like someone perhaps who is more controlled might be always touching like and really care how their appearance looks, and that manifests in a certain way. So yes, there is like it's kind of like an inventory of like behaviors, universal behaviors that you're able to go, okay, that means A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like the easy one, like they're biting their nails. There's a nervous. What are they nervous about? And then you can create a story or have an imagination around that. I won't know what that individual is exactly thinking or why they're doing it, like what is their motivation to bite the nail, but I can create my own story.
And then context as well, like how that shows up. Do you follow tennis much at all?
I am not a tennis.
Neither am I, really. Neither am I.
I understand the game.
Yep. So this is I'll tie it back. Andre Agassi. Does that name ring a bell?
Yes, he's an American tennis player back in the
80s,
day.
90s. Yeah, back in the day. And his nemesis was Boris Becker. They had a really close competitive relationship there. And Agassi was great at being able to just have the edge. And throughout their rivalry, he knew what that edge was, but didn't tell Boris what it was until after they both retired. And he let Boris know that he had a particular tick that indicated which way the serve was going to go.
Yeah.
And so he just sat on that. He didn't tell anybody at all. He obviously didn't want to let the other rivals know.
Yeah, of course.
So, but at the same time, he couldn't play on that 100% because he didn't want them to get any clues as to what was going on. So I think, he said that he had to mishit a few of them, but for the most part, it was basically like every time he knew where the serve was going to be coming from I think it was just his lips or his tongue. He kind of like licked his lips.
It's an unconscious kind of physical manifestation and behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, people do that, like, when they're lying, they might look down or they do something or, It's very fascinating. You can read a lot. Like, there's ways you can identify. So if, like, a person looks up, they're a visual, like, when they're thinking, there's, like, this, I don't know, an opera singer taught me this once. She was my voice teacher. But if you look up, you're a visual thinker. Right? Okay. So that's like your most common kind of way of when someone asks you a question, how you think. If you look down, kinesthetic, to the side is audio. Like they're just little hints of like where your eyes go. When someone asks you a question and you have to think, it's like, oh, where do they go? And that kind of...
Right, okay.
It may not be 100%, but these are little things that you can play on or investigate or learn.
I don't know whether it's fact, but just the darting of your eyes, left or right, indicates if you're a left brain or right brain thinker. So right brain being more creatively biased and left brain being more logical and analytical biased. So I don't know if that, like, from my understanding, that the left brain and right brain thing it's kind of not bullshit, but it's we use both parts of our brains. Like I think one's probably more prominent, but that's what I've heard. That's I think my understanding as well, just through the study of body language. If someone's going to be feeding bullshit, then I think they'll look a particular way upon hearing the question, and where their eyes dart indicates, are they going to be coming up with an actual answer based on evidence and truth
and facts.
Or on facts, or if they're going to be making something up, which then means that it's just using the creative component of their brain.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I like that.
But I guess like my rebuttal to that would be that if someone's lying, it doesn't mean that like if they're not telling the truth, then doesn't mean that they're lying. They could be believing the lie. Then with your knowledge of understanding if this means that, and you can start creating these characters, then are you also able to then use this knowledge to help almost like construct Sarah? Because I'd like to be, I suppose not so much in a curation way, but more of being able to be more introspective, right? And trying to better understand, firstly, who you are and how and what separates you from the characters that you play to begin with. And then second to that is like, how do you then make some of these changes so that way you're almost like more honest and authentic to yourself? Because like when I was saying about watching that movie, for me, it made me feel uncomfortable at parts, but that was because of me being able to have empathy with the character or the situation and having lived my own version of those circumstances of just like, like shit going wrong. How are you going to react to that? And then it made me feel that way. And I'm like, what is it about me? Why do I feel this way? So it was just more introspective. So for you having the knowledge and also just, are you able to create that separation and then better identify who you are?
Absolutely. Like, again, though, it took time.
Yeah.
Because it is a minefield when you're starting out as an actor. And I think it's having technique and skills and then seeking. I guess like I was just always interested in how I can remain my authentic self as an actor, because I don't want everyone to know everything about me as well. Like there is a mystery that I would like to keep, but also I really need to be in touch with who I am in order to be safe and in order to be like mentally, grounded in myself. So I did a lot of work to, realize to be able to differentiate between me and a character.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, right? Like how if we see someone in film, we feel as though that we have this connection with them because we sort of do.
And
right?
that is the goal. Like, you know, you want people to connect, that you want that connection, and you want to serve the story.
Yeah.
It is all about storytelling. It's not about what Sarah's feeling, or for me, it's not about what Sarah's feeling in that moment and having a cathartic experience on camera. That's not acting to me. It is about serving the story first and foremost. And if someone connects and has like an emotional response, a reaction, or feels uncomfortable, like all of those things is to ensure that the story has kind of resonated and has been told in a way that impacts an audience. Where were we going with that? I could talk forever.
We can actually just
go
take these
anywhere.
But just about that connection.
So like I can connect with my characters, but I also know like who I am at the core. Like, what are my core beliefs? How does Sarah react and work, and kind of there is like rituals and ways to kind of differentiate.
No, I suppose like another part of that was that what I was saying was that when you play a character, we get to witness this character, but yet we feel a connection to you, the actor.
Yes.
Right. Like we almost bypass that, and that was why I found it really surreal when we caught up, because I see Netta, but I'm talking with Sarah, and just that juxtaposition after the premiere.
And what did you say to me? We met up and you were like, oh, I know you just said some words, and I was like, oh, that's so funny.
I mean, like, obviously I wasn't expecting Netta, but like it was more of I'm looking at someone that looks like this person I just saw on film. I think we just caught up, like, it was maybe just a week or two after the premiere. So it was still very raw, right? Like it was still that remnants of Netta was still
and I think you said when I opened my mouth that you were like, oh wow,
like,
that's
not Netta.
that is not Netta. Like or even how I presented myself and stuff. And it's like ensuring that, I think that's why it was really important to me. Like a huge part of Netta is like the curled hair. Like I do not have that curly hair. I have wavy hair. But like curling it, and that's that's what makes a huge difference. It's like the physical realization of a character I'm really huge on. So I was really close with the costume designer and the makeup artist to ensure that there is a difference. Like, yes, I'm still the canvas underneath and I'm the vessel, but to ensure like we do a lot of physical change is important. And there are actors that love that. Like, you know, Nicole Kidman writes into her contracts, like to use wigs for whatever reason, but like
prosthetics and all that,
I don't know if the prosthetics are in the contract, but like people use prosthetics or they use makeup in a different way, or they're not. I think there's a fearlessness of like not being recognizable as well that is really nice as well, to transform. Like, 'cause that's what, as an actor, I want to transform into a character. And then when I meet someone who says, oh, wow, like you are really different, it means, oh, okay, it worked. Like I'm able to do my job because I am employed as an actor in order to play a character that is not Sarah. There's not a personality. And I think that's really hard today. And it brings up a really interesting topic. I don't know if it's for today, like between like an actor and a personality kind of actor in today's kind of society, when, you know, we have Instagram, we have like YouTube, and we have all these platforms, we have influencers as well. Like there is a huge distinction between what an actor is and then what
like an actor just knows that they're putting on performance, where an influencer thinks, like, just believes their own bullshit kind of thing.
I don't know. I don't know influencers well, but I just think that they're different jobs. They're different jobs. Yeah. And so there's all this stuff that comes with, you know, being an actor. Like there is so much work we do or experience and like learning. Like I think there are a lot of.
When you're in that moment, because like when you're talking about just that transformation, the physical transformation, the costume for one, and just the little details, but also just like facially, you there was moments where like you're stressed, you look stressed. So when you're filming that scene, and you know when they say like, you know, if you want to be happy, just smile, right? And then it kind of just truncates the rest of your body. But when you have this frown, and for the movie, like that 90 minutes or whatever it may have been, there's a constant variations of going from, I guess, just like quite somber moments to angry, all a range of all the negative feelings. Like when you're in that particular scene and you have that facial awareness of like, I have to now feel this particular way, when you're acting that out, do you actually feel that? Or is it just consciously, I'm just putting this on?
I think the trap, like with what you're saying, there's a little bit, not a trap. It's not that I have to do anything. Like in the moment, I know who she is and how she. I think the thing is, I have a character that I've created. So when we're in a scene, whatever will happen will happen. So if that does, those facial expressions are coming out, it's because it is conscious, but it's intuitive as well.
Right. Okay.
Because maybe in a different take, I did something different.
Right. So it's reactive to everything else that's happening.
Well, yeah, there is an element of reaction, because I'm listening to the other. Because remember, in a scene, you have another actor that I can't control. I don't know what's going. I know. Of course, we know we have lines. Like this is it is movie making, but I don't know how that is going to make me feel, and I'm not going to prescribe what it's going to do. Yeah, because there could be different levels of how I react.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like, so a director will go, okay, maybe not that one. So I'll give variety, but it's still in tune and aligned with the character and what she wants in that particular moment or what she needs. But that could change with what my son does to me and how that makes me feel, or I have a moment, or I improvise something, because I do love a little bit of physical improv. Yeah. It might not be vocally, but like someone might react to something I do. There's a scene with a character that is my mother in it, and it's we're both very physical, like, you know, we're Italian, so there's a lot of physicalization or expressions on the face that are quite large, and she did something and then I just reacted. I remember I did a scene and I mimicked her, which isn't in the script, And Adrian was like, oh, I used that because I loved it. Like, I thought it was really funny. Like, did you know you did that? And I was like, well, in the moment, I'm doing whatever like, I don't like, I make a choice, obviously, in the moment to do it, but it's not like, it's because someone's like, if you slap me right now, you're going to get, I don't know what my reaction will be. Would I slap you back? Maybe. Would I be stunned and like freeze?
Yeah.
Perhaps, like, fight, flight. Or would I just scream at you, or I run away?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It plays
But
the
I
whole
know there are
collaboration, right?
options.
Yeah.
There are always all these choices. And in every interaction, as we do, and it becomes very, philosophical, like in every moment, we have choices. Is it the beautiful pipe? I've forgotten the artist. Was it Marti? Je ne sais pas. Like, is this a pipe or is this a chair? We go into the philosophy of things.
Okay, yeah.
You have, yeah. So my answer is like, yeah. So
Wait
in
and
your
see.
question, like I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
and that's
okay.
like a beauty as well. I know what the scene needs, and I've read the scene, and we know the film, but it's not me going, I'm going to frown all these times. And then in that, so obviously in the moment, I do feel the things because I'm having a real reaction.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm really listening to how that person is saying it to me and how that would affect me. I know the line is coming because you can't, because we've read the line, but I don't know how it's going to be delivered. Or I don't know how it's going to affect me. I don't know all of these variances because there's no control. I can't control the moment. Sometimes that happens on set, like perhaps that... you learn different actors to work with and how they work and what they do. But this is what, being in films or being on the like, this is our profession. So this is what we learn. So yes, I might feel something might come up that I wasn't expecting, and I'll ride with it. That's gold because it's like it's a very primal, visceral,
very genuine
reaction. I think there was a scene. I don't want to give it away, but like like everyone, like I'll give something else away. I won't give it from the film, but I remember I did this comedy scene once, and the director just really wanted me to cry, like, and it got to the point like she really wanted, and I just like snot was dripping down my nose, and like and that was just in the moment, and it was comical in the end. So I didn't know I was going to do that. Like I didn't know that this is I didn't think I was going to go that full on or. So like you can't plan for things. And that's what I guess I was saying is like you have preparation. You do all this beautiful exploration and feel things. And like I did you do animal, like if that's your choice, like animal work or music or dancing or movement or writing or observations. And you do all this beautiful thing that is my creative process. And then I get to set and I know this character inside out and you just got to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, like for me, the biggest thing in creativity is like a surrender. There is like a surrender of not knowing. Like I don't know what I won't know. Like there's this beautiful thing, like just to let go and kind of allow things to happen. Which is so it can be really scary for people. And it's very vulnerable. So actors can be really vulnerable in those moments.
Yeah, you can sort of extrapolate that across all fields of creativity. Because back to what you were saying earlier about taking action, right? And then there's different degrees of creative expression. Where before it's creative expression is just ideation, right? And I distinguish between the two levels where you have an idea, but then it doesn't mean anything unless you take action and execute it. So there is that whole like having to what was the last thing that you just said? I want to talk.
Surrender, not knowing if fear and vulnerability. Right. Like there's a vulnerability in the artist. So there is that. Too. Yeah. So once you have that ideation, and the next step is if you want to bring it to life, you've got to do something with that. And putting, the blank canvas, just that proverbial blank canvas, right? Like just the fear of putting it down on that. And, you have an idea of what it is that you want it to look like. But in order to get to a certain point, it could be 10, 15, 20 years of experience to get there. And it's just the whole going through that process of making the mistakes and putting something down just to see
where you're starting from.
Yeah.
Right? And then having the courage to not just to make mistakes, but to be honest with your work as well, right? Like people are going to look at it, people are going to judge it, and they're going to decide whether or not it's for them. And Adrian said in the podcast that for him it's that he never wants to be right in the middle, like that he wants people to feel something, whether or not they like it, right? I want them to feel that they love it or they hate it, or even I suppose that you could also just say that I love it because I hate it. There's also that, because that movie it's not a comfortable watch, but that's also why it's so great, right? Because it makes you feel something like quite visceral. And that will be the thing about acting, is that, you have to get to that point in order for it to resonate, because if you're doing it half-assed, it's not going to connect at all. You have to be all the way in for it to
make bold choices.
Yeah.
Like, I think an actor that everyone always references to that is like Philip Seymour Hoffman. He always made really bold choices in the characters that he created, like doing things out of the ordinary. Like, I think a lot of actors do this, but yeah, it makes a difference. You can't, like you said, half. Well, what's the point then? I would say, what's the point then? If you're just going to coast through.
Well, you couldn't even tell a story that way.
No,
it's not.
You wouldn't be able to do all the different acts or like reach the all the points within a script.
Yeah.
And the 3-act structures and all of those moments.
Back to what you were saying about, like, just the whole, like, a lot of your acting is reacting, and it really just like highlights how collaborative making a movie really is. Like, I'm blown away by the number of people that takes to be involved in making a movie. But it's not even just the number of people, but it's the different qualities, right? The different types of creativity that needs to go into it, right? Like, it's we think movies is visual storytelling, which it is, but it's all of it. It's the rest of it as well, right? Like, there's a lot of it's the writing, it's the sound, it's, I guess it's just to your point earlier, it's actually a lot of the stuff that's not been explicitly expressed. It's the body language, it's the undertones of it all, the undercurrents of everything.
The subtext, like it's all happening. There's so much happening. And I like to think sometimes an actor is like an interpreter, like they're a really good interpreter of characters.
The middle person, that's right, taking that story and making sure that it's conveyed.
Yeah, and like we are only one part of the huge moving wheel. Like Tavis and Adrian, a cinematographer, producer, writer, director, they're in pre-production for months and months before sometimes even an actor is brought. Like, and I know this because I'm a director as well, even before an actor has been even thought of, or, like before casting comes into it. So there is so many beautiful moving parts and collaborations and relationships that are happening. So when you go on set, you just got to be kind. You got to like connect. You actually have to, I believe like you introduce yourself to everyone who's on set. I would do that on set, like the runners, people who are going to help me with costume, like costume assistants if the costume designer's not there. Like everyone is doing so much to serve the story.
That unified vision, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I think Adrian really was able to create that for Westgate. And the collaboration was great because you get to learn and there is an element of, like you have to be able to learn the language of Adrian as a director. I'd be like, okay, he's saying that, and then I've got to interpret that and then execute. Or Tavis is talking to me about something, and we would work together as well to you're troubleshooting, you're problem solving, you're creatively problem solving, which is really interesting because so you see how your relationship with my relationship with Tavis as a DOP and as an actor was very different from my relationship with Adrian as the director, and then my relationship with Danae, another producer on board, I would be able to call her. Or I did an intense scene and my makeup artist we went into the room and she asked if she could hug me and I let her. An actor is very close with the makeup artist on set and like your costume designer because they ensure how you will appear on set and there's all these things. There's continuity. So on Westgate, I have big hair. I have big curly hair. So continuity was constantly like, no, the hair needs to go behind. I think Cooper was like, oh, she's the death of me. This hair is the hair is a character in Westgate for sure.
Yeah.
Because it says so much. But like, what I'm coming to is like, everyone on set is quite creative. Even your gaffers, even your lighting, even catering. Like you're working with everyone. It is a beautiful collaboration to ensure that you tell this story, and that is exciting. And it's always different as well. Every set you'll be on, and so maybe that's something I also love about filmmaking. Like
different personalities.
You learn. Because I must be like someone who is dedicated to learning or learning growth. I'm always excited and galvanized by it. I come alive, and that's because like every set is very different, and you're learning and you're adapting and you're creatively being resourceful, and all of these elements of oneself or myself. Are able to kind of, there's a synapses. There's like, it is all firing.
Mm-hmm.
There's all this energy that is being exchanged and worked and react, and you still have that. You have like, I'll listen to my director, I'll react, I'll interpret, like, and it's always happening. Kind of, there's all this energy that's flowing.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier about how you have these different creative outlets, right? So you write, you direct, you basically just cover all the large bases of what it requires to make a movie. Would you then bring that knowledge base into, or do you, like, would Adrian lean on your background and credentials in the other areas and bounce off those ideas?
Absolutely, and that's why like now we have a really wonderful creative relationship. Like he's producing my next short film, like, or I'll send him my scripts, or he'll tell me his ideas. Like you get this beautiful mutual respect from another creator. And yes, he was always open to me, like whether it was improvisation or if I had a concern about something or if we wanted to try something a bit differently, or he was really respectful if something wasn't working. I'm like, hey, can we I talked to Tavis and we're like, I think I've got this, it will work. Because I understand how sets work. I understand how to work with a camera. I understand how to talk to a cinematographer. So that me being a writer and director informed my acting or my experience on Westgate so well, because there's such a respect for every head of department that you need to have. Like, and I understand the languages or the vocabulary they use in order to execute a shot or need something, or I probably am a really good communicator as well. So if Adrian would say something and it wasn't resonating with me, I'd be able to be like, okay, so do you mean this, this, and this? Or he'd be like, no. I'm like, okay, well, how about I do it and then we can go from there and we'll see. But I was so, I don't want to say in sync or in tune. I probably was in tune with kind of Adrian's vision from like pre-production, because we did do a lot of rehearsals. So I was able to kind of execute his vision quite like quickly. So that was like a luxury. It was wonderful to have that too. There was a definite synergy between, especially Adrian and me, and then Adrian and Tavis, and then because as a director, Adrian is he's the commander of the ship. So I think everyone was so clear and there was so much clarity. And if there wasn't, everyone was able to express not concerns, but like to ensure that everyone was on the same page. It was just there was so much ease in the process.
So there's different ways of when Adrian is looking for the best person to play Netta, there's going to be layers to that, because it's not even just going to be the person that can personify this character best on film, but there has to be the understanding or the acknowledgement of trying to bring someone on board that can resonate and has the synergy with the team as well, right? Like there are layers to it, because like you hear so many times when a movie has been suspended because of just some conflict.
Well, sometimes you don't have the luxury of time as well, like of casting. You don't know. Like he could ask people who have worked. I don't know what his process. Well, I do know, like, he did seek me out and we had conversations when we met up, so he was able to get a sense of who I was. But there is a risk involved, of course.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how someone will deal with conflict, or if they'll be like...
this is the first project you two worked together?
Yes, this is the first one. And in terms of like the main cast, I don't know if Adrian said, but I was cast last.
Right. Okay.
So the nonna was cast, my son was cast, and some of the other characters were already cast, and I came on a bit later. Not in the process, but I was one of the later castings. And it's because he just didn't. It was a difficult role to cast from his perspective of what he has told me. But you'd have to ask him to have all the specifics on what was going through his mind.
I'd understand that because he's going to be wanting to, I guess, there's greater expectations on this particular role because it being the main lead as well, and there's a lot of depth. I mean, like the movie is really the day in the life of Netta, and everyone's there just as the peripherals to prop up the story around.
Well, support the story. I would say they support the story. Yeah.
So there would definitely be greater scrutiny on who he wants to bring on board to play Netta, and look, he did well. he casted right, but yeah, like it really just goes to show how much is involved that has to happen off screen as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I said, we did rehearsals because I really wanted to ensure the relationship with the son because that is like the main relationship. Her being a single mother, I wanted that to be really strong, and obviously he cast a 14-year-old boy, Max, who's a beautiful young man, but 14, adolescent, hugging a strange woman doesn't come naturally. And I think when I first met him, he kind of like kissed me, and it was kind of like not a headbutt, but kind of like a cheek to cheek butt, and I was like, yeah, we need to hang out. We need to really create this relationship so it looks seamless.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because that relationship, it worked definitely. The mother and son connection really worked. You not being his mum and you not having any kids yourself, like
I have a fur baby.
Oh well, as good as no, but like it did come across that there was definitely a connection there because there was so many ways that relationship was explored as well. Like there was some really beautiful quiet moments of just enjoying some downtime, and then some again like high intensity moments. And it's just trying to get a gauge of like when you're creating these relationships and not having a one for one like that yourself, then it's just a matter of then what you just jumping into observation and understanding and studying and trying to draw from, I guess, like other relationships that you've had along the way. Like, for example, you and your parents, and then just trying to reverse that role. And now you're adopting the mother role.
No, like it wasn't it was creating it kind of for me with Max, creating relationship and an affection. I even found myself being quite protective of him on set. So it's taking qualities that I knew Netta would have as a mother. And yes, working out within my own emotional infrastructure, like where I feel that way about things. But I was able to really just care about Max as well as my son Julian in the film, and be able to heighten and kind of experience that with him. So we built that kind of relationship. Yeah,
it was, and
to create that history as well. Like, I sent him. We went to Time Zone and played games. I bought him lollies. We wrote notes to one another. Like I sent him a present. I think one day I did a birthday of, Carlton cupcakes. So this is all this kind of work that we chose to do to ensure like there was a relationship present.
Yeah, it's again just going back that in order to have something just be conveyed as something genuine, you have to kind of just not you have to, but the way that you go about it is to actually have that lived experience rather than trying to manufacture it.
For me, I felt like to have, like we had the luxury of pre-production and willingness to have rehearsals. So in this instance, we were able to create a lived experience. But even if we didn't have that amount of time, it's something I would do if I was playing a mother again, is just taking those moments, because we did that as well, taking moments within scenes to, you know, hold one another. It was really cold some days because we shot in winter. So it's like hugging one another or laughing or exchanging, you know, snacks that we liked. And even though that's not like exactly the same as like a mother and son, it's creating that affection for one another in little gestures, whether it's just putting our heads together. We will remember that. And yes, that is a lived experience on like a cellular level, that I have that relationship with.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
With him.
I want to touch back on something that you mentioned right at the very start about how, you know, some people that you've spoken with and they're saying that everything seems to be happening. Like it just, you know, things are just starting to, there's momentum.
Yes. Momentum is the word of the year for me, I think.
Yeah.
There's momentum.
Okay. That was what I was going to get at. Like there's a lot of work that goes into getting to a point where the momentum then picks up, and then just like the preparation and the readiness for that. Was Westgate something that you guys had anticipated was going to have as much success as it has already so far?
I don't try and like have any expectations anymore. That's why I booked my holiday. I don't want to leave it up to the what ifs anymore. I think we knew like it would resonate, it would have an audience. That was absolutely, and we believed so much in it. We had, you know, you can't not have hope that it will be received or get into, like we were all gunning for, you know, MIF, Melbourne International Film Festival. That was because, you know, it's a Melbourne story. We really want that. So to achieve that was like quite a pinnacle for us, for all of us, and to be able to, you know, be there for the world premiere was great. But did I know like we would be picked up for distribution? No, I didn't know, because like I didn't want to have any attachments to what if. So it's been a pleasant surprise, and like I'm happy to ride the wave of it and have that kind of perspective on it, instead of being like, oh, why aren't we getting into this, or why, you know, because it is hard to, you know.
But on the flip side, there's also when you asking the question, why didn't we get into this, why didn't we get into that? But then on the flip side of that is that whole, you know, why you are achieving the success, right? Because you guys have built this. So when you do have the achievements and it is being received the way that you guys hoped, there is no surprise on that side of things, right? Like when the success comes, you know exactly why. Right?
Yeah, like we were all so invested. We blood, sweat, and tears. Definitely, all of that went into it. So yeah, we can be really like overjoyed. Like I don't know. We can actually understand why.
Yeah, it is just that, like, I guess that a lot of the times when success or failures come, it's just a misalignment with expectations, right? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you can achieve, and like this is the fascinating thing, and I could talk to you for ages, because like success, what is success? Because those goalposts can change all the time. Like you can reach something, and it's being content and present in your creative experience. Because if you keep looking to the future, will you ever be satisfied? Because you're not reaching those, you know, pinnacles. It's great to have goals and everything, but yeah, I kind of want to just be happy in the present of what I'm doing. And that's why I have all the different artistic pursuits, because that fulfills me and aligns, and it's my authentic self.
Yeah, and when you say the being present and like just trying to appreciate the moments that you're in, I see a lot of that in all creativity, right? But then there is some creativity that requires a great deal more preparation, and then some that is just more expressive. But then at the same time, there's going to be some that are most definitely the two. You know, take for example, if you're a musician, when you're playing a gig, that is, you're entirely present and you're just expressive. But to get to the point of that, there's years of preparation. You know,
absolutely. But you're present in that preparation.
You're present in, But then when you're making a movie, it's constantly sort of both, right? Because when you're in a scene, you're entirely present. But then in and around that scene is this orchestration of also trying to capture a moment and almost artificially because it's a movie. You're presenting a movie. So there's this balancing act of orchestration and curation while remaining present. And it's just this constant flow. And then all of a sudden you bundle it all up and you have this 90-minute presentation of what seems like just perfect curation of it all.
Yeah, but we shot it out of sync. Things were going wrong.
You shot it in a different order.
There's things happening. There's things you can't control.
Yeah.
There's weather. There's all these things. But
and like you were saying, you shot the last or one of the last scenes first. Yeah, so there's all these things at play to present something that seems seamless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in the moments, I'm present in what that timeline is, where it is in the timeline. So yes, there's preparation to understand we have to understand the whole picture, the overall arch, the overall journey of the character. And because Netta was the leading, the protagonist of the film, I was able to do that. But yeah, there is that kind of element. But you're still present in the moment
of course,
of doing it.
Yeah, no, I just find it fascinating how like making movies is just that balance where like for me, like if I'm going to be painting, it's like it is that, you know, it's years of preparation and then just a moment of execution, you know. So it's slightly how things are kind of arranged, I suppose, is quite different.
It's interesting you talk, because I was just in Amsterdam and I went to the Vincent van Gogh museum, and he started as an artist much later. Like I think he was late 20s, early 30s. And he had years and years of preparation. Not mimicking, but like taking artists that he loved and learning and just really like being, what is the word I'm looking for? Like he just threw himself into it and he was completely, I don't know if it is one element for an artist of whether it's just execution, because you can bring all those elements into your whole
that's true.
Your whole
even in that
your archive of works.
Yeah, that's true, because even in that execution, that moment of execution, that is
plays
also
within a timeline of your work.
That's right. So it's still preparation for the next piece.
And
as well.
even like an artist like Bach or anything, they have all their I'm not a musician, compositions that again play into their whole.
So the whole thing is a process.
Yeah.
Ultimately, isn't it?
I think being an artist is you must. I don't want to say must, but like if you don't enjoy the journey, then I don't know.
What are you doing?
Then you're probably not meant to be an artist, because it is all about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's not about like the end result. Is it? Because what is the end result, really? Yeah, like and that changes as well. Like I think it is it's loving processes and learning and having curiosity and engaging your imagination and using your skills and talking to other creatives, collaborating.
Yeah.
That's all what's fulfilling, bouncing ideas off one another, being resourceful and all of those kinds of things.
Just like the latest episode that I released is with this artist by the name of Ginger Taylor. She is a maker. She's very hands-on with the things that she makes. Illustrations are part of it. She has ADHD. So she said that a big part of her creativity is to just let her ADHD do its thing. And she is just almost like a vessel in the process. So when she's in the process, she's able to tap into her flow state, and that's where she just feels more aligned with everything that's happening and just kind of letting go. And almost is like just being a passenger for it all and let it happen rather than trying to force things whichever way.
Well, it sounds like how I expressed like what it is like to be on set as an actor. You just let it go. Like you already have all these skills. You've worked years and years and years.
Exactly.
You've accumulated a toolbox of wonderful skills that you can use, that you can fall back on, and you do your thing. Like I guess it's like there was a writer that said self-doubt is like the artist's worst enemy, like the worst fault is like self-doubt. If you have to really believe in yourself, you have to understand your worth as an artist, or value yourself, and know that you have that toolbox, that you are skilled and you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you can let go and let it live. And if people have opinions, so what? We're in a world where everyone has an opinion. Everyone can go on Google and write an opinion. Oh, we didn't like this restaurant because this waiter in this 1 minute didn't like it. Okay. It doesn't mean all the food is rubbish, or, like everyone will always have an opinion. That's like,
yeah, and there's very little
in
nuance in that either. It's either they love it or they hate it. Like there's no real appreciation for. It's like, it was great, but then this and this and that, or I didn't like it for this X, Y, and Z. But the reasons why you don't like it is there's going to be someone else out there that loves it for
those reasons, because everyone has different opinions.
Yeah.
Everyone has different values, and yeah.
So Westgate now, it's kind of going all over the place. It's moving all around Australia at the moment, premiering here, this, that, and the other. And I mean, it deserves all the praise that it's been getting. And I love that something that is so small in comparison, but have an impact larger than, I suppose it's almost like it's punching above its weight. But I also feel as though that's not doing it justice either, because knowing Adrian as much or as little as I do, and hearing him talk about the movie and seeing the movie, there's a certain confidence about it where I don't think it was an accident that this has happened and it has unfolded the way it has. And like walking out of watching that premiere, I was like, shit, this is whatever comes of this movie itself, I think that this is going to be a launching pad for a lot of the people that are involved, right? So like your performance was outstanding. And it really made me feel something. The work that Tavis did, again, outstanding. And like I went into it knowing some of the things that he had spoken about it, so I was looking for it and trying to identify with it. And same with Adrian. So no, I'm really happy for you guys. I think that it's well deserved. So for you personally, what's your trajectory right now with the movie? What are your movements with the movie, and then what's coming up next?
Well, we have the theatrical season of Westgate, so we're going to the Sun Theatre to begin that, and then we have the Eclipse in Collingwood where they will be showcasing Westgate. There's some other cinemas that will be seeing it, so I will go to
the openings of
of those for the Q&As. And yeah, see where it goes. Like, I'll always be proud of it. It's probably, I remember sitting in the cinema at Acme for the MIF opening, and I was sitting next to Adrian, and I just kept bumping him. I was like, it's real. And I had Adrian, like you said, he trusted me because of my background as a writer and director. So I got to see some of the raw cuts and give some like feedback. So he was really open to that, which is like such a luxury. It's more of a producer role, and I did love that element. But he was just very open to collaboration. But I just remember like going, it looks really good. It's really, you should be so proud, because I know how little we had. But the thing is, it's like everyone had so much experience on this set. It's just they haven't had visibility yet. And that's just what happens in the entertainment industry. I don't want to say there's so little work, because there was just an announcement today that, they will need to, I don't know if was it for Netflix, or I think Netflix has to meet a quota of Australian content. Now it's become like a law. There was some...
A law?
I don't know. That's not say law, but something has been passed or agreed upon, or like a contract that there will need to be a certain amount of Australian content, which is fantastic. So visibility hopefully will happen for artists and directors and creators that, aren't in the spotlight, because there's so much talent in Australia. Yeah. Whether it's actors, artists, musicians, like there's so much, writers, so much talent. And hopefully like we can, bring it out, like it can be supported, and there'll be none of the tall poppy syndrome, and the Australians won't have to go to the US to make, I don't want to say that, I think the word successful is not correct, but then to make a name for themselves. Hopefully they can make a name for themselves here. And I think, like you said, which you beautifully did articulate and say, I think this is a really great jumping like it's a
launching pad.
Launching pad, that's the word. Launching pad for a lot of us that may not have been visible. because we have all that experience.
It was a great showcase of the high level that you guys brought to the table. There is a lot of outstanding talent here in Australia. And you are right; they usually have to go overseas to make a name for themselves. And a lot of them do come back at the height of their fame to do some smaller independent movies to then try to lift
if
the
anyone,
game.
I will say Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
awesome.
She's an actress. She's phenomenal. But this film is just like, you have to
When
see
was that?
it. I don't know if it's come out yet, but it was MIF opening night film.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and it's a female writer-director, female protagonist. I'm all for that, and that's why I love Westgate as well. This Westgate 10, 20 years ago would have been a male lead, so Adrian making a female lead is phenomenal. And
Ooh, that would be different, having a dad as opposed to a mum.
it's a completely different relationship, and it's a testament to Adrian that he did use his mother's story and kind of have faith.
He would have
in
just
that
cut
character,
and run.
because it is. Yeah. I wouldn't have like. Oh yeah, you're
The
saying
dad?
male would have cut and run. Well, yeah. But this is why I was so like. I think I said it at the Q&A. I was like, I needed to play this role because this is women I know, and I could really hear the voice, and I loved it, and I wanted to make it happen, and we did make it happen. So it's very, it's a lovely feeling to kind of sit in.
Yeah, and to represent, I mean...
And I think I've met some of my collaborators I will continue to work with from this set. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. In the film industry, it's the collaboration, networking, connections, and genuine, authentic connections as well. Yeah. And that's what happens when you work on like maybe micro budget sets and smaller sets where everyone is just hungry. Everyone's hungry.
Yeah, it brings out a different sort of... Hungry is the right word, but also I guess that when you're hungry, you're out there to go get your feed, right? Mm-hmm. So you're willing to go that little bit further as opposed to just clocking in and clocking off. Yeah. That there is that degree of... And trust, once you have the trust of someone else, that you're willing just to go that little bit further to help support them as well. And you have your own piece of work coming out.
I've already had one short film. This one I'm in pre-production. I haven't started shooting yet, but they've got a lot in kind of like writing stages and those kinds of things. But I'm not in a hurry, and that's something I'm kind of enjoying sitting in. There's no rush. I have time. Like I feel like when I was younger, I was like, oh no, I've got to have everything right now. But I don't like, and that's surrendering and kind of just going with the momentum of what's happening and letting things come. I feel like sometimes when I have an expectation of what it should look like, or how my success would have looked like, or how my career would have looked like, and it like if I could tell myself 10 years later, 10 years ago, I'd be like, it's not going to look the way you imagine it, and just let that go. It will come to, like, things will come to you when you least expect them, and it will look a completely different way. And there's that kind of surrendering to that.
Yeah. I often, like when I'm speaking with other guests, to say that, the goals that we have, they're just carrots that's been dangled in front of us just to get us moving. Yeah. And then where we end up is not where we thought it would be, but we just have to, and again, back to what you were saying earlier, we just have to take action. And then whatever comes of that, then once we execute step 1, it will take us to step 2, step 3, and then before we know it, we're over there when we thought we were going over there.
Yeah, or 1 could take you to 5, and then 5 to 2. Like, I love that it's kind of, well, this is how my brain works. Like, things can just be flying, and it makes sense. There's like a organized chaos sometimes to creativity. Yeah.
Entirely, always. It's never linear.
And it's never the same. Like every project, whether it's an artwork or a music piece, like you can write a music piece and then how you perform it is completely different. Like, same with me as an actor. I can, do all my work and then it comes out a completely different way. And that's so instinctual. It's like being in tune and with your instincts and listening to yourself. And that comes back to like knowing your authentic self, knowing your voice. Because I feel like when I've done damage, maybe not damage to myself, or, things have affected me perhaps more in a negative way, it's because I haven't listened or been aligned, or like the choices haven't aligned with being my authentic self.
Yeah. Where you maybe kind of just asking the question, what would such and such other people think?
Or not, maybe, or like reading like how someone else's journey was and being like, oh, well, why can't mine? Oh, well, maybe I'll do that. And then it doesn't work because it's not who I am.
It's just like grabbing that puzzle piece and trying to put it into yours.
Like I had a whole thing about like, how can I represent myself on social media? I don't love that. I don't like to be on social media. And I had a whole thing like talking to someone about it. And it's like, but I can do it with my authentic voice and like do it in a way that's safe for me and, you know, not too exposing. And you can still be yourself in public as well. If you, there is a way to maneuver all of that and not doing things that don't align with it. Like posting something that's completely not me, like that I would never do, like in how I present myself, and that kind of comes into it all.
It's a tricky space. It's a tricky space because there's also that part of like, I believe that we need to step into a role and personify the person that we want to become before we're there, or to some degree of it, sort of like when, you know, that
is that like manifestation? Like
it's sort of like they say, like dress for the job you want, not the job you have, right? So, you know, if you're going to be in a space in creativity, and especially like, say, for example, this podcast, I wouldn't feel right in trying to tell people, I suppose that the whole idea is just to speaking with different people from different walks of life, different creative fields, is to see what knowledge and nuggets of wisdom that I can take from this person and then share it with this person who's in a different field altogether. It all moves around and it's transferable, highly transferable, and even down to the point
where... Well, that's what you've discovered.
Yeah. That's what I've discovered, right? But it wouldn't feel right for me to do that and to share this wisdom if I wasn't embodying it myself, right? It just seems disingenuous. So I can't tell someone, go out, go create, go do something, step out of your comfort zone if I'm not prepared to do that myself. Yeah. And I'm not comfortable doing that. But I need to then step into that space and just get comfortable with being uncomfortable before that becomes comfortable, and then I find another uncomfortable. And it is just that like, it is, I guess, like in a way manifesting, right? Like in order for me to be a successful artist, I have to be a successful artist. Yeah. That's how I see it anyway.
Or you have to just believe in yourself that you are it. You are enough.
That's essentially it, yeah.
You're just enough. You are an artist. You are a successful artist because you choose to work.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Then it comes back to, what is success? Yeah. You are a success by choosing.
By choosing that, by doing that, yeah.
To do it. Like having that some people that maybe have like, I'll say normative society or like normative jobs or things, they'll look at us or artists and are kind of in awe, like, how do you do that? How do you choose that? Like, because they see it as brave and courageous. And
it could be, I think, definitely some of that, but I think there's also a lot of people like, ugh, no, couldn't do that. I won't do that. It's like, you have to.
But then don't you read into that, I couldn't do that. It's kind of like, there is something about it then that person's having such a reaction, like, because they couldn't. I guess it's going to like, I have all these qualities and skills that this person doesn't have. And how wonderful that I've embraced it when someone like that, or whatever their background, like it's reading who they are and what they...
for sure. I mean, that's the right approach. Like, I mean, I don't want someone else's opinion of me affect how I do things. Yeah. But it's that, you know, even again, going back to another saying is like, you know, if you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. You know, and I lean on that a lot as well. And that plays into all of that.
I love that you're good with sayings. I'm so horrible at them. I'll get them wrong all the time. So I love that that's like your you have mantras that
they stick with me.
They really, you were able to like shoot that one out really
well,
quickly.
only because like sometimes they just click with me. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, I've got to keep that one. And also just being on the podcast and like having repeated that a couple of times before, it just does get embedded in there. But there are some that like I, you know, hold as truths. And along the way I learn that, you know, you for sure have shared so much that I'm going to bank in here. I'm like, oh my God. And then there'll be another conversation that comes on and I'll be like, oh, no, I spoke with this actor, Sarah Nicolazzo. And
you learn by listening and doing and
Of course. And I'm speaking with people that are like doing it, right? That are like, you were a lead in a movie that is just gone, that is now the stepping stone for a lot of these creative Australian creatives, the success stories. Like, it's going to start from this movie, like, I know. So that's kind of why I wanted just to tap into that foundry, like speaking with the person that made it, that shot it, that performed it, right? Like, that there is so much juice there that should be shared,
and mind
extracted
as well. Like, 'cause
and then it's
gaining insight into how someone operates, or how they do their process, or their creative thought process, their creative.
Yeah, and there's just so much, like, even just speaking with you about like trying to understand personalities and characters. I think that that's something a lot of other artists outside of your industry where they struggle, and I know I do as well. Like, just being on this side of the camera, I've gotten used to it because, I've done X number of episodes. But the first time when I did it, I was like, oh my God, it's like my eyes like are wonky, my ears are off, my teeth are crooked.
We are our worst critics.
Yeah.
I must say. Right. And for me, Westgate was the first time I watched myself on screen. I was like in Acme opening night, and I could detach, which is really hard to do. And there are actors out there that cannot watch themselves. Ooh. So you are not alone. Like, it is really difficult to watch yourself back.
Do you see or do you see Netta?
I saw Netta in this one, definitely. And that's like a great way to, create a boundary and a differentiation. Be like, okay, but that's so not me. That is that character. And that's not Sarah. Because, there are angles where you just things are being portrayed, like, there are moments and you're like, oh wow, like you never see yourself in that angle, but that's just storytelling. Like, it's not, you got to leave you kind of not your ego at the door, but just like let it go.
Let it go, and then trust
surrender to the story. It is
trust that someone's got your back with this. They're getting the best out of you.
But do know, as artists, like, it is difficult to be in the spotlight all the time, and it just takes experience. Like you said, now you're comfortable being on the other side of the camera and speaking. Yeah,
and just let go. It's like it was just like seeing myself like, oh my God, you look like that. But then I was like, that's how everyone's seen you for the last 40-something years, man. Like, it's only you that has just chosen to not see it.
But cameras also, like, aren't a correct representation of yourself as well. Like, we learn that, like, different lenses do different things. Yeah, like, there's so much deception. So you can't control everything, and isn't that with art? You can't really control it.
That's a good point. You can't really. There's the amount that you can control, and the rest of it you just got to resign to it.
Yeah.
This has been very insightful. I want to I want to congratulate you, and I will, and I'm sure Adrian will see this as well. But yeah, the whole team have put together quite a movie. I'm going to get out there. I've was straight after the movie when I got home. I was just telling my wife how awesome it is, and then because at the premiere, someone from Sun Theatre said that they're going to pick it up. Like, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
I want to.
There's a snowball effect.
That's it. Yeah, make my way down there, and I'm almost certain that it's going to sell out just about every session, because I know it will be a limited run, and there's going to be a lot of people who want to get to it. I want to make an effort to get down there. But Sarah, thanks for jumping on. This has been awesome to chat with you again, and to just to learn about the process behind the scenes, because, like I said, that when you see the polished piece, it's great, it's wonderful, and it was well put together, but it adds different layers of context when you're able just to get a better understanding of what went on behind it and what it took to put it all together. So thank you. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you, and I hope other people out there will find insight in what I shared.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Wayne.